Hello and welcome to the Page One Christmas special, the third Christmas special we've done actually, and obviously this is going to be the best one. I'm Marco.
I'm Tarek.
And if you're just joining us on Page One, why are you joining for the Christmas episode? Go and look at all the other episodes that are proper interviews. But we normally like to speak to writers of all kinds about their writing careers and find out how they got into the industry and get lots of hints and tips. And we are speaking to writers tonight. I'm not sure how many hints and tips we'll get, but we are speaking to three great guests tonight.
We are indeed. We are chatting with three wonderful authors, all of which have been on the podcast before. And first up, we are joined by the wonderful Callie Taylor, whose psychological thriller, It's Always the Husband, is her latest release, described as Motherland meets Big Little Lies, which is a pretty cool description, I think. Hello, Callie.
Hello, and thanks, Claire Douglas, for that description.
Next, we're joined by the fantastic Fiona Cummins, whose latest thriller is Some of Us Are Liars, and she was actually on the podcast earlier this year talking about that, and it was described as an astonishing novel, but Tarek hasn't told me who that was by. Was that by you, Tarek?
It was not by me, unfortunately, although I'm sure it is an astonishing novel. I've not actually read it yet, Fiona. I'm really sorry.
But I'm here as my alter ego, Brian Harvey, from 2017 Christmas #1. So I don't know what you're talking about, but
you're going to
everybody, and
serenade us out. Serenade us out at the end.
Also, I'm a bit hot, so I might have to take it off.
You also look like you're into the sauna.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, haven't we? This is my writing shed that looks very much like a sauna.
Very cozy.
It is, in fact, a garden shed.
Nice. Well, that astonishing novel quote actually came from our third guest, who is the phenomenal Ed James. Hello, Ed.
Hello.
I tried to add up all the crime novels that you've written, and I got to 52. Is that right?
I don't know. I've lost count myself. I think it's 43, but I can't
43,
be sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
pretty impressive
I keep
output,
finding
man.
some that I have finished, and then they come back from editors and go, "Oh yeah, I wrote that." So, yeah.
And that is a fine Christmas jumper you've got on there, Ed.
Yes, I am presented as Lionel of the Thundercats.
Oh, nice. The Thundercats. I didn't.
Although I'm more a
spell that.
Panthro, I think.
I've gone for the Spider-Man.
Nice.
Did you myself?
I've gone for a classic elf.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I've got my party dress on, so I am expecting an actual party as well.
Oh wow, that's very impressive. You proper dressed up for it, Fiona.
I have.
Oh, Callie, you two got a start. Oh, God, the girls are much fancier dressed than the guys. The guys have just slummed it tonight.
We just gone for a pub crawl in our silly jumpers. That's
these
basically
Christmas jumpers are worryingly expensive. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. I can't afford to buy one every year. It gets worn like 3 times or something.
Well, I asked my 17-year-old to pour me a small glass of Baileys before I came up here, and this is what he poured.
Oh my God, that's a full to the brim glass full of Baileys.
It's like literally
Incredible.
full. So I apologise if I
you're-
can't string a sentence together.
Yeah, if you're only listening to this, that was a pint of Baileys that's just been lifted up.
I'm going for the random fridge beer, which I found in my fridge, which I don't recognise, but
Tiny Dancer.
nice. Tiny Dancer. I've never-
It rings a bell. What
It's
brewery is it?
from Flash House. I've
That's
never
not the one
heard
I'm
it before.
thinking of. Yeah.
But if they want to sponsor us, that's fine.
I've got
What are you guys drinking?
a tin of my local Tempest. The
Oh,
Big
Tempest.
I Am.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Which is a few miles down the
Red
road
wine
from me.
for me.
Red wine, classy.
Beer for me.
Beer as well. All right, cool.
Yeah,
That 3 guys,
excellent.
literally beer for the boys and Baileys and wine.
Excellent.
Not in the same glass.
But we're going to talk about Christmas stuff later on and have a stupid game at the end. So we'll get all the boring writing stuff out of the way at the start. So I mean, obviously, we are only a few days away from Christmas now. Are you all still writing? Do you keep writing over the holidays, or do you take a bit of a break? I'm going to ask Callie that first.
I have
I have just finished, literally very late on Thursday night, my structural edits. They should have been done by the end of November. That was my original deadline. But then I got 2 viruses. My dog got 2 illnesses. My son got an illness. So I think we're all done with the illnesses for now, touch wood. And yeah, I'm done. And it's brilliant.
Nice.
I pity anyone who's got to work over Christmas because I just couldn't. I couldn't.
You could take a full 2 weeks off now.
Yeah, I think so it was structural edits that I just delivered, and I think my line edits are coming back the 12th of January. So I've got more than 2 weeks, which is nice. Although, my schedule means I need to start thinking about the next book. And I've just got a very rough premise. I ordered a notebook from Papier today, though, so I've got a rough premise. Any excuse for stationery shopping. A rough premise, a working title, and absolutely nothing else.
Excellent. So, is that a pitch you're making, or are you signed up? Do you have a deadline for it?
Well, in theory, everything is in theory with me. The deadline is end of July, but that was also the deadline for my current book, which I ended up delivering in the middle of September. So let's see what happens.
What about you, Fiona?
Well, actually, like Callie, so we're recording this on a Tuesday. On Sunday, I handed in my new book. I was doing a kind of a little bit of an edit. It's not the kind of full on edit. I was very happy. I was completely giddy on Sunday morning, running around in excitement. Although rather alarmingly, my editor started reading it yesterday afternoon, and I'm scared that she's going to come back with notes on Friday or something. I'm like, my Christmas holiday is going to be ruined. So no, I don't know. I don't think I'll have to do it until January. But I'm a bit strange because I like writing over Christmas. One year I was writing on Christmas night. I just like getting in my bed with my laptop late at night or early morning when everyone else is asleep, and I put the Christmas tree lights on and it's all kind of dark. And I think I wouldn't like doing it if I was under huge amounts of pressure. I think actually sometimes when I relax, that's when I can be at my most creative sometimes. So I'll be tinkering around with a new idea I've got a short story that I need to write. I've got a book. I'm interviewing Robert Thorogood of Death in Paradise fame in January. So I'll be reading that over Christmas as well. So, and I have, Callie mentioned her stationery. I have this rather beautiful notebook as
that's a much
now
better
we're
notebook.
Talking, Fiona. That's
what we're talking about.
My sexy stationery for my new book, so I'm quite excited to get stuck into that.
Brilliant. What about yourself, Ed?
So I've got 1 day left of editing the next one I'm working on. So I'll cover off what I've done later, but it's been a hell of a year, and I'm glad to have 1 day of work left to do, and then I can just collapse into a heap and enjoy Christmas. Usually I'm working up to the 22nd, and it's my dad's birthday on the 23rd, so I have lots of family stuff. So basically Christmas starts 2 days early, and then because I've been working too much and too late, I'll end up getting a horrible cold around about the 27th or 28th, so that writes a lot of January off as well. Hopefully I'm going to avoid that this year by being an adult and actually stopping a week early, but let's just see. How
many books have you written this year?
It's an interesting question. I think it's not an easy one to answer. I think it's 4, but there's loads of other stuff.
This is not normal or usual behaviour of a writer. So no one listen to what Ed said. No.
Tarek, have you got Ed a Christmas present for effectively helping you write your last book?
I owe you a beer, Ed, because we were chatting about Scotland, and I was saying I had about 7 weeks to write a book, and I was kind of shit myself. And you gave me your patented Ed James technique to write a book in 4 weeks, and it totally works. It's amazing. It's genuinely revolutionised how I'm going to write books now.
Excellent.
Which is, well, I'll,
I mean, we've not seen
I'll
how the book
explain.
does, but yeah.
Oh, the book's dreadful.
I mean,
It's
what
utter garbage.
What's the patented James technique? Can you share it with everyone?
It's
Yeah.
What Ed? Why don't you tell? Well, it was up to you. I don't know if you want to share the secret of your
It
success.
depends how sober we are when we're discussing it, but it's a technique. Actually, not my technique. It's from Stuart McBride. So basically, his last few books he's written as or he writes it as a 4-part TV screenplay or teleplay, like so 4 hours worth, and that leads to, I mean, his books are, I mean, massive doorstops, like I don't know how many 100,000 words, maybe 200,000 words. So it's a bit long, but I figured out a way. So basically, I think about 500 pages of script turns into about 100,000 words novel. And so, because I know I'm not someone who writes lots of internal, blah blah blah, lots of exposition, lots of dumps and stuff.
He's just summed my books up as blah blah blah.
All that boring stuff. None of that.
Yeah. So basically, I write all that boring stuff at last. I get the plot stuff done first. So used to do like detailed outlines, and then they were just kind of like an absolute nightmare to write and for anyone else to understand them. So writing it as a screenplay is really quick. So you can get it done in about a week, and then another week to convert that into some very functional text, and then a couple of weeks to turn that into sort of put all the blah 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 back in. So and it does work.
Well, can I ask Callie and Marco, because we know it worked for you, Tarek? Could you do that in 4 weeks? I don't think I could do that in 4 weeks.
No, my brain doesn't work like that. I write the complete opposite of Ed. I write really slowly, and at the end of every day, I edit what I've written the day before in the Kindle app in my phone and leave notes. Then when I go back to my work, I make the changes. Then I carry on. And I go back and forward. So by the time I finish my draft, and admittedly, the most recent one took me 7 months, but literally that's it. I check for typos and off it goes. I would love to be able to just do a splurge draft, but there's something in my brain just stops. I get too self-conscious of that I'm writing shit, and I can't do it. I wish
Embrace
I could.
The shit, Callie. Embrace the shit.
I am. I think once I know where I'm going with the story, I can be quite a quick writer. But I would probably put myself somewhere in between. I couldn't from scratch write something in 7 weeks like you did, Tarek, probably. But if I have an idea, like I wrote this last book in just over the majority of it in just over 2 months, probably. So
that's pretty quick, though.
That's very fast.
But I already had the basic plot for it and stuff. So yeah.
But do you worry? Like, it's a genuine question, and I'm not trying to be like goady, but do you not worry about the quality of writing if you write really fast? That's what I would worry about.
So I find that the quicker I write, the better it is, or the more fluid it comes out as. Like what happens, it's momentum, and when I have to like make big changes to stuff, that's when it like reads badly, because you're sort of having to unpick things. I think it's like what you're saying, the opposite of what you're saying, Callie, that I like to get all the edits done beforehand. So this goes back to my IT days. It's easier to change like a little document than to change some code that's been built and put into production and served out to customers. So if it's like a Word document, that's easy to fix, and then that's everything's built from that. So the sort of writing equivalent is the sort of the synopsis, and then the screenplay. It's quite easy to fix them. So if there's like gaping plot holes in there, then I've kind of like fixed them, and then so I don't need to worry about like A to B to C to D, all that stuff's taken care of. It's just then when I'm writing, I actually find that writing is better because I know the story is there, and it's all about like reactions and character stuff, but embellishing it. You're not having to go, oh God, what are they going to do next? What are they going to do next? All that kind of stuff. That's all gone. I've dealt with all that.
But then you miss out on those. I mean, I don't know if you're the same, Fiona. I plot quite lightly, mostly the first act, and I know the midpoint and the end, but then you get those magical moments where you're writing, where something happens, you get this idea and it's perfect and it's exciting, and it kind of gives you more energy to keep writing, because you keep having these kind of magical moments amongst the kind of wanting to hit my head on the desk because I'm a bit stuck. But the magical moments, like, I need those. I once wrote an outline, a 13,000 word outline, because James Patterson did it and he's a billionaire. And but for me, it stripped all the magic out. I felt like I was some kind of touch typist afterwards.
Callie, I agree with that completely, and that's always put me off planning too much, because I've always thought it would take the fun of it away in the kind of spontaneity way. But what I found when I did the screenplay before turning it into the book was that the screenplay was basically a kind of a really detailed outline, but it didn't feel like I was planning. It felt like I was writing, because I was doing all the dialogue. And like I'd said, if I had to make changes, I could go back and you could edit a scene in 2 seconds compared to editing a chapter, it felt like. And I will say the end product was it was too short, because I didn't know how long the screenplay would be to translate into the book, and it ended up being quite a bit too short. So I would need to add on about 10,000 words in the next edit, and it did end up being a book that is very much like it's a very fast-paced, like, chase story. So it kind of maybe worked. So I don't know if it became that kind of story because I was writing it as a screenplay. It kind of lent itself to that.
Did you have any idea what it was before you started that?
No, I knew it was going to be like a political conspiracy thriller type thing, but that was all I kind of really had. And I had like a couple of moments I knew I wanted to put into it, but that was kind of it. And I also wonder if it works easy because it was part of a series. It wasn't like a standalone like deep character study kind of book. It was like a kind of pacey police procedural type story. So maybe
you're not having to establish as much.
No, exactly. I just kind of jump in, hit it gone running, and it was book 2 of a series, and everyone kind of meant to know who folk are type thing. So, but certainly for that book, it was like the perfect. It saved me. I mean, it was. So yeah, I owe you a drink beer. I owe you a drink beer. I owe you a beer. So,
how much?
I've had too many of these beers already.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm with Callie. I can't. I mean, and those moments of magic or alchemy is how I always kind of think about it. They don't happen all at once, and they don't happen all the time. For me, they happen over a period of several months. And for example, the book that I've just finished, I did quite a quick draft, and like you, Tarek, I've probably added about 12 or 13,000 words in this kind of next round, and I changed the ending a bit, and that ending could only come because of all the work that I've done previously on it, and everything kind of just falls into place with this kind of magic, and you don't know where it comes from, but obviously your brain, your subconscious is kind of ticking away, doing the work for you. And I think for me, if I did it too quickly, I wouldn't have those. I can't think of all my ideas all at once. I just can't.
You want that time for everything to kind of percolate in your brain a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely need those moments as well. But I think I only wrote this one so fast because I was determined to try and get it finished quickly after Bloody Scotland, and I had already started it, and I did have an idea of where it was going. So it was, it was easy. It wasn't like starting from scratch and starting from a standing.
I thought you were going to say I was determined to beat Tarek, so I wanted to do that.
That'll be next time. Race. I'm writing a book in
we're very competitive, and I have to beat him.
No one can beat Stephen Graham Jones, who told us he wrote a book in a weekend.
Yeah, it was like 3 days or 4 days. Yeah. But he basically has it in his head, and then he sits down and he just does nothing else but write for 12-hour blocks over 3-4 days. It just gets on the page like stream of consciousness.
That's insane. Good.
Sorry, I do think there's a lot to do with your state of mind in terms of how quickly you can write as well. Because I did write my 2 young adult novels, one in 7 weeks, which was over NaNoWriMo, and one in 9 weeks. And the 7-week one, I think, was because there was no expectations, because I had no YA audience. It was the first YA book I'd ever written. And so for me, that was really freeing. Whereas I think with my sort of adult crime books, being this far down the line, 15 books in or whatever it is, I feel more of an expectation from the readers, from my fellow crime writers who I know, are going to get proofs in terms of the quality that I expect myself to deliver. When I was writing the YA, it was so freeing that they just came out quickly, because I think those internal pressures weren't there.
Yeah.
So maybe.
And also, what else you've got going on in your life, I suppose. What other time sucks you've got happening around you in terms of like family or jobs or whatever and stuff. I suppose all plays a part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's also like what your process is optimized towards, right? So, like Callie, you and Fiona, like a book a year, like at the very most. Sometimes you've gone 18 months or whatever, and you've got like you're in the middle of a sort of a wee bit of a hiatus. Your next one's not out till 2027, Callie, right? And whereas I've because I'm a sort of indie author, I have to deliver 3 or 4 books a year. But then I'm not like at the whims of a content editor who isn't like paid for by me. I've not got an editor or director or whatever saying you need to do this, you need to do that. How about this? How about that? So like there's this different beast, and also like the types of books as well. Like I'm writing series fiction, police procedurals, which are like each book is like an episode of a series. And a TV show, and like you're saying, Tarek, about you're jumping on to like book 2. It's easier to do that. Whereas even though you've had recurring detective, Fiona, yours are much more like Callie's books than mine, in that you've got that sort of broadcast of psychological stuff going on with families and so on, and those are much harder to do than a police procedural, where it's like the vast majority of it's coming from the head or experience through the head of one main detective, like a Rebus or Thorn or whatever, So they're different books to write, I think.
Yeah, I think I might write faster if I had a cast of recurring characters, because I think part of writing a standalone is getting to know the character as you write, and it can take a good, quarter to a third of the book until you feel like you've got a really strong hold on who that person is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening. I'm sorry to mention another podcast, but I was listening to What Went Wrong podcast.
Sorry, you've dropped off the podcast.
But they took it's about films, right, and things that go wrong with films. And their current episode is about aliens and James Cameron. And they basically were saying that while he was in the middle of that, he was asked to do another project, and so he was writing 2 screenplays at the same time, and he would set up, he had 2 different workstations, and he would switch between the workstations so he could get his head into doing the kind of other screenplay. And I've often wondered if I could write a book in the afternoon and a different one in the morning or in the evening or whatever. Has anyone ever tried that?
No.
I've not tried it, but we have had guests on. I'm sure, did Mike Carey not say he wrote The Girl with All the Gifts book and then moved on to the next book, I think, and he was writing the next book, but then he was writing the screenplay for The Girl with All the Gifts,
right,
and he was able to kind of separate the 2 things
because
they're a different format. Exactly. But very difficult.
The man with many names, Mason Cross, Gav Bell, whatever else he's written at, I'm sure he did that. He was writing a sort of one of his main books, but then he was also doing like 100 words a day of another book first thing. I'm not sure how he got on with that. I need to ask him. But
I guess it depends how similar they are.
I have done it with. I have started different books before. If I've got 2 ideas, I have tried.
To see
which one I end up wanting to actually write.
I don't even read 2 different. I can't even read more than 1 book at the same time. I
can if they're not like a fiction, non-fiction.
Or fact, I suppose. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I know. Spielberg, when he wanted to make Schindler's List, and they said we can only make Schindler's Lists if you make Jurassic Park first, and so he filmed Jurassic Park, and then he was editing Jurassic Park in the evening and filming Schindler's List during the day, or vice versa, one of the way around. It's just insane to me and both those films is incredible. I've never seen Schindler's List, so I can only assume it's incredible. But Jurassic Park,
you shouldn't admit that, Tarek.
But what's his face? Michael J. Fox was doing like a TV show during the day and then Back to the Future at night.
Family Tie. Yeah.
Oh, Family Tie.
Family
That's
Tie,
right. Yeah,
it's like, you know, and obviously like that's, you know, like you can do that when you're young, but you know, like we're not young anymore. So.
Speak for yourself.
Sorry.
I'm older than you.
Did Henry Cavill not do it for? He had to do the reshoots on Justice League, but he had
the moustache
pretended
from Mission Impossible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful.
They CGI'd it out and it looked awful.
Not very well.
No, it was awful. One of the many reasons why that film was awful.
Well, you know, on the theme of Christmas, just Fiona and Callie, you both have written sort of short stories about Christmas or set in it. You were both in an anthology.
Oh yes, we're both in the same anthology, aren't we?
Death Comes at Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something? Was that fun writing a story set around Christmas, thinking of an idea for that and that sort of thing?
It was actually, and I was inspired because I was invited to, I think it was like the Waterstones Swindon Christmas party sort of thing. This was about probably a year before I was invited to write a story for the anthology, and you know there was a bunch of authors, and then obviously there was the book staff, and there was readers, and we were just kind of milling around. And I jokingly said to one of the booksellers, has anybody written, you know, about a crime that happens at a bookseller Christmas party? And she was like, oh no, but that would be good. And then, you know, 6 months or whatever later, I was invited to write the story for Death Comes at Christmas. And I took great pleasure in including sales teams, editors, lots of people from publishing at the party, and
were they all just wiped out?
No spoilers, but a lot of people died. And I was writing from the point of view of a disgruntled author, which, you know, easy to tap into sometimes. So it was great fun. It was really good.
I'm kind of fascinated about this idea of books that come out of Christmas, and because some of them don't really do much, and then some do so well, don't they? Year in, year out. And so it's just kind of finding the right kind of book that's going to sell sort of really well. But I like writing short stories just because it gives you a little opportunity to just try something a little bit different, and you don't have to commit to writing a whole book, which is always nice because that's pretty long.
Yeah. Is it hard to write a short? Is it hard when someone comes to you and says, "Can you do me a short story on this topic?" And is it freeing, or is it quite stressful to think, "Oh, it's going to be tied into this specific topic for some reason"?
I quite like having, a theme or that kind of thing. The thing that I'm writing a story for a magazine that will have to be kind of ready by about February, and they don't want you to be too dark, and for me that's really hard. You have to actually sort of pull your punches a bit, and so I find that much harder actually than saying kind of don't be too dark. What about you, Callie?
That's the issue with being asked to write short stories for various publications. Is some, you know, won't allow you to write about certain things, some won't allow you to go too dark, some want it to be hopeful at the end. And I've done dozens over the years for various different publications, women's magazines as well as newspapers. Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought to myself at the end, I had 16 stories that I'd written. And I thought, you know, this is basically a small collection of short stories. So I approached my publisher and I was like, would you be interested in buying the rights to, you know, a short story collection by me? And they looked through and they went, well, they're all very different. And I was like, well, yes, because all of these different publications, you know, wanted a different kind of thing. And they were like, oh, you know, we're not sure that it's on brand. And I was like, right. So I self-published them myself. And not one single review has said they're all too different and they don't read like a single Taylor collection. Some people have said the odd story's a bit darker than I normally write, but you know, that's the fun of writing a short story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can go darker, or you can be
I want the
more
variety.
humorous.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would prefer. I think if I was going to buy a short story collection and read it, and they were all kind of samey, I'd get a bit I'd be a bit let down. I think I want a nice mix of different stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're so fulfilling to write because you can write one in a week. And that sense of fulfillment, having written it and edited it, and it's this complete thing in itself, is really nice. But I know a lot of authors absolutely hate writing them. But I started my career writing them. So for me, it's, it's normal.
Yeah. What were you, Ed? Are you a short story man?
I can't do short stories. I tried writing a 3,000-word short story for a bloody Scotland competition years ago, and it ended up being 80,000.
Did you not ask them if you could just sneak it under the line with that?
Yeah, no. It just kept going and going. Actually, I had one. There was a CW anthology, one that Arenda published. Oh God, that must be about 8 years ago or something. 6, 7, 8 years ago. I had one in that, but that was about 7,000, so it wasn't that short. I ended up expanding that into something that was about 25,000 during pandemic, actually, one of my wee projects. I just can't write short stuff.
But it's all about the short story now. There's lots of television projects that are being turned into, films or series on killer ideas. So I've, been thinking about that a bit, really, because if you can come up with a really, really good idea, you can sell it for a lot of money and then see it as a film, and then you don't have to do very much work.
It's interesting. TV people are looking at different things, because I don't know if you were just about to say this, Derek, but we were speaking to a guy that writes. He's written a lot of stuff, but he writes role-playing game books, and the TV people absolutely loved it because
they sexy role play.
It's a no, not sexy role play, not sexy role play.
We should get a sexy role player on the podcast.
That's a different kind
I'll
of
be the plumber.
podcast, Tarek. But it's got
playing later.
Yeah, exactly.
No spoilers, Marco.
It's got all of the it's got a whole world and characters and everything that more than a book could ever have, because it's all in there in one thing. So they obviously like that. And then like you say, short stories, comics, graphic novels.
Yeah.
They look at all of these things for adaptations.
I've got an idea in a different genre that's been kind of rolling around my head for a little while. And I told my agent about it a while ago, and she was like, yeah, I really like it. But I'm not like Ed. I can't write multiple books in a year without killing myself. So I'm going to try and write it as a short story, because my film agent said that, they have this whole kind of wing where they have people who aren't even authors, it seems to me, because I've been sent a few of the stories to have a look at that got bought by Netflix or whoever. And I don't recognise any of the names. So I think these people are people who just write short stories to sell to get TV rights.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to try and write this idea as maybe a longish short story, because it seems to be a lot about the voice. When I was reading the example ones, they all had very strong voices and sense of character. So I need to get that over in the short story. And obviously Stephen King had a lot of short stories made into films. So I've got 3 different Stephen King short story collections, which I must read over Christmas. I mean, his stories are much longer. They're probably about the same length as you'd write, Ed. But, because they're huge. They're like quarter books.
No, so
some
I
of
mean,
them are, exactly.
I think
like
Black
4 short stories
Phone by his son.
Joe Hills.
That was a short story that was made into a film.
That's
so it's
right.
really
brilliant. That's a brilliant.
All the films that have been made of his stuff are from novellas, like Running Man and Dolores Claiborne and all that kind of stuff. They're all like
Shawshank Redemption.
But
The Long Walk, which I went to see.
They're all like 20, I loved it.
Yeah, they're all 20,000 words, whereas his books are they're just so big and unwieldy that, even TV shows, I mean, they tried to make a film of The Dark Tower, but it was an absolute disaster.
Yeah,
it was a... but they're doing a TV show of that now, though, aren't they?
Mike Flanagan's working.
Mike Flanagan did it, yeah. Well, he's in safe hands.
Hopefully it'll be good, But I'm going to move on now to our writing highlights of the year. So, what have been your highlights?
Is this our own highlights?
Yes,
or
your own highlights. Your own highlights. No.
Okay.
We'll come on to that. Your own highlights. Tarek, I don't think anything significant happened to you, so we'll move on from you. Fiona?
I had 2 books out this year because I had a quick reads out, which I wrote. That came out in April. And then I had my novel, My Next in My Sore Language series. So that's quite unusual for me, having 2 things published like that in a year. And the quick read stuff has been actually really amazing for me because it's opened up an avenue that I wasn't really exploring before, which is going into prisons and running workshops for prisoners about writing and things. And I have absolutely loved doing that. I found it amazing. So, and I hope they've got something out of it as well. So, yeah, that's been pretty cool. And
what's the quick reads? When you say quick reads, Fiona, what does that mean?
So there's a national literacy charity called the Reading Agency, and you probably know them most by World Book Day if your kids have ever dressed up as characters. So they do 6 children's books a year, and then they do 6 adult ones, which is World Book Night. I think actually the number might have gone up to 8 now, but so you're invited to do it, and it's can't be longer than 20,000 words, and it's written in sort of a more simpler language. It's aimed at people who maybe struggle to access reading a bit more than some of us. So I was so kind of thrilled to do that because my dad, who because I came on the podcast and I did I don't know if you remember this or not.
Yeah.
So my dad died this year, and I didn't tell Tarek or Marco that he had, and I did my podcast with them 2 days after he died, and I was completely manic from what I remember. But anyway, my dad, he died this year, and I was really happy to have written that because he couldn't read or write, so it was a cause that was very, very kind of close to my heart. And I find it's been amazing for my own writing because you have to be incredibly disciplined. Your sentences are not allowed to be longer than 15 words, and your paragraphs are not allowed to be longer than 8 sentences. So it forces you into clarity and precision, and you have to be able to convey your idea. And actually, from being a journalist, and I used to work on a tabloid newspaper, and people could be sniffy about that, but actually it was actually quite difficult to convey an idea or a story in simple language, but powerfully. But that's what the quick reads did. And so I found it an amazing discipline for my own writing. When I went on to write my book that I've just finished, I was writing in a kind of much cleaner way, I hope. So we'll see. But
that's interesting.
Those have been my highlights.
Nice. What yourself, Callie? What's your highlights?
My highlight probably happened back in January, where I got 2 Nielsen Silver Bestseller Awards.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
One for a really old book, For the Missing, which came out in 2016. And then one for The Guilty Couple, which was 2022, 23. So that was pretty cool. Felt like a complete imposter next to people like Liz Pichon, who wrote Tom Gates, and Richard Osman and the like. And who did I meet? Oh, Julia Donaldson. I met Julian Donaldson, who writes The Gruffalo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She was lovely.
She's not the biggest British
she was,
writer
yeah.
of
yeah.
all time or last year or something.
She was so sweet. Absolutely no ego. Same with Liz Pichon. I sort of gushed to her. My son loves your Tom Gates, or did. He's 14 now. He just reads his phone. But when he was little, he loved the Tom Gates books, and so I was quite gushy to both of them actually, and they were both absolutely lovely. But I've had quite a quiet year since then because I can't remember if I was able to tell you this in the last podcast, but I decided to leave my publisher, Avon HarperCollins, and I've moved to Headline, who's an imprint of Hachette. Okay. And I've been with Avon for 11 years, 11 books, and I just felt like the time was right to move on and write something still within crime but quite different from the kind of domestic noir that I'd been writing previously. So another highlight was so obviously It's Always the Husband came out in hardback in June, which was my last book with Avon, and then delivering my new book, Notes on an Obsession, which comes out in February 2027, to my new editor, Jen, and getting just 3 pages of edit notes. I mean, I used to get 12. So that was a highlight because I've been dreading it. So 3 pages and a lovely phone call, and it felt like a really collaborative edit where we discussed the strengths and weaknesses of the book and sort of came to a decision between the two of us about the best way for me to progress forward with the second draft. And it was great because normally I absolutely hate edits. I get a massive brain block, just don't want to do them. And this time, I did take a little bit of time just to think first, but actually when it came to doing the edits, I didn't feel a huge weight. I felt like I'm making this a better book. So that's got to be a highlight, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Definitely. Was it difficult when you decided to leave? Was it a difficult moment having that conversation with them, or was it fairly?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I knew it wasn't going to be an easy conversation to have, and
it's a long time you've been with them, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm so grateful.
Don't make her feel worse.
That was good.
No. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful to Avon. My first book, The Accident, my debut crime novel, got rejected by everybody but Avon, and I fully expected to have a 2-book contract and be out as well, but they made me. They gave me however many Sunday Times bestsellers and 2 million sales. So there's a huge amount of fear involved. Like, what if I leave and everything just goes to shit? It could all be down to them. But I just had to. I think sometimes the timing is right. And when I met Jen at Headline, because I met a bunch of different editors at different publishers, and I felt like she got me and what I'm trying to do and the sort of books that I want to write, and how to jacket them and stuff. So felt like a meeting of minds, and so far so good. So I'm feeling slightly less fearful, but ask me again in February 2027, just before the book comes.
What about you, Ed?
I've just sat and before we came on, just jotted down what I've actually done this year and scared even myself. So my theme this year was the year of consolidation, which sounds very serious and impressive and everything. But one of the things is I've had a few different publishers over the years, and I think before the last time I was on your podcast, which was maybe 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
I think I'd just signed. I just signed with Bookouture back then, and they very graciously reverted the rights to those books last year. So that's a whole life cycle of publishing. So they came out, didn't sell particularly well, and I managed to get the rights back. And that was one of the big projects this year. Is I wanted to edit those into something else. So they were thrillers set in Seattle. So the project I'm working on just now is relocating them to Edinburgh. Which Mr. Ian Rankins told me I'm not allowed to write in Edinburgh again, but here I am writing in Edinburgh again. And that's been quite useful and interesting. It's amazing how well they've translated. And there's also just so much that's come out of it. I just removed so many redundant plot lines, and I don't need these Russian baddies and stuff in there that were weighing everything down and quite heavy. So that was one of the big projects. Another one was one of the things you do as an indie author is you look at what rights you've got, what you haven't exploited, and audio has become a big part of my world. And I've got, I think you sort of counted up 52 books. I think it's only 42 or 43. But my poor audio narrator, a guy called Angus King, who does lots of other Scottish crime writers, he'd been going through my books and narrating them, and the poor sod has done 22 of my books this year alone.
Oh my God.
He's probably paid his mortgage, Ed.
I know. Yeah.
His voice will be like razor blades.
I've paid, I know he has a lot of honey. I've had to pay his honey bills. I think I've paid for 2 holidays for him at least. But this time last year I went for dinner with him just to catch up on how we were doing, and he just started recording one of them, and he said, really struggling with, because you can get through a book in about 2 or 3 days, and it's and that's 110,000 words or something. And this one is about 80, 90,000. And he was like, it's taken me 4 days to get through about 7 chapters. And it's like, I don't really think you need to explain in great detail what a social network is, and so on. So these are books these are books I'd written in like 20. Well, in fact, I started writing that one in 2009. It came out eventually in 2012, and it's the first book I published. And so I thought, right, I'll just give them a wee lick of paint, cut some stuff out, and that ended up being February through to April was editing 3 of those books, and there's another one in June, and it's an absolute bloody nightmare. They are a lot better for it, but God, it was hell just going through, looking at the earliest stuff I'd written and trying to make them much better stories for it. And I think they are better for it now, which is good, and they're all out in audio now, and I've done really well actually. I'm quite pleased with that. So that was another big project, 4 of those bastard books, and did 3 in the Marshall series, which is my main beast just now. So the third of the 3 is book 9, and that's out at the end of this month. Cuts both ways, and that was another of the consolidation projects. That was something that my old agent had tried to sell last year as a sort of start of a new series, and no traditional publisher wanted to buy it, or certainly not for money that would have been tempting. So I just turned that into another book in the series, and that, like, I was actually interested in looking at what the work I've done on these, and it's testament to the screenplay method, Tarek, because it takes about a month to 6 weeks to do the edits on a writing and editing on one of the new books. And when I've been going back and editing old stuff, it takes 3 months. So it's like, those like illusory old words, it's like, well, the only good thing is that they just stop whispering in my ears of like, what are you going to do with us? What are you going to do with us? But yeah, it's been a hell of a year, and I'm glad to see the end of it.
Good effort, man. I mean, how many books do you publish a year?
So it's 3 new ones that I've published this year. So
is that normal? Do you tend to put 3 books?
3 or 4, yeah. So next year I think is going to be 4, but then I've written one of them already, 2 of them actually already. So
forgotten about a book.
Yeah, I had to actually forgotten it. That's when I came back from an edit, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Oh, that's that." It's something I just found half written from a couple of years ago, and I just finished it, and I thought, why not put it out? And it's actually all right.
And you just pull it into one of your series or your ongoing series. Do you have like a plan for where you take it, or you just?
Yeah. So the thing with the series, like, I've been building up over the last few books to where this had come. So it actually sort of, even though it had been written as a sort of start of a new series, that one, it fitted amazingly well as book 9 in a series, and it was a lot of I could change certain details, and they became real culmination points for long-running plot points and storylines and stuff. So yeah, it was quite satisfying to do that, and it's also the springboard for the new series as well. So as all this shit goes on in my head, I was constantly thinking about all this stuff, like, how do I do this? How do I do that?
As an indie author, you're revisiting your old stuff a lot more than a trad published author, I think.
Well, a trad author never does it unless they're told to, really,
exactly,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a whole new thing that I hadn't even thought of. Tarek, I will ask you, so you can do this. Do you have any highlights this year?
Oh, obviously the highlight would maybe be getting Ed James's secret sauce to work on. No, the Midnight King winning the Mantovani probably be the highlight of my year for me. I think for sure that was a very nice moment. Because that was a book that I'd pitched to Amazon.
The first ever person to win the debut and then the Mantovani at Bloody Scotland.
Trend setting.
And they've not even been going that long, those awards either. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, no, so that was amazing, and it was a book that the first 2 books were published by Amazon, and I pitched the Midnight King to them, and they'd said it was a bit too dark for them. They didn't like it, and I decided, well, either I could write something a bit lighter for them, but I was already kind of 10,000 words into this book, and I was loving it, and I was thinking, I just don't want to. This is the book that was speaking to me, that kind of wanky stuff. Like, this is the next one. The characters are talking to me and stuff. And so, I said, we kind of parted ways, and I wrote a contract. And I was always kind of like, am I making a mistake? Should I just be staying with them and just writing what they want to write, so I can build up some books, and get some money? But no, obviously now glad it worked out that I managed to find someone for it.
Did you have that feeling that it was a special book when you'd finished?
I did. Yeah, as I was writing, I felt like it was just kind of working, like it was clicking. I was excited. I was always excited to get back to it. It didn't feel like a chore. And whereas books I've written since then, there's been points I've always been like, oh, this is not working. This is not. It's like pulling teeth. Sometimes can't see my way through this. It's not. I do a draft and I was never happy with it for ages. Whereas that book for the Midnight King, it always felt like it was exciting. So yeah, I did have a good feeling about it. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I did. But yeah, excellent. Marco, what's your highlights?
Well, I will also say Bloody Scotland and winning the Pitch Perfect award was obviously quite good. Nice. And that sort of motivated me to then finish this one that I've just finished. So
did you get an agent from the Pitch Perfect? Did you have an agent already?
No, so I had an agent previously, left the agent, so I'm currently without agent. But winning, I'm hoping that winning Pitch Perfect is going to help. So the idea was finish this book by end of the year, start querying in January. So that is my plan, and obviously put the Pitch Perfect win near the top of the letter so they pay attention. So yeah, hopefully we will see. Tarek's reading the book just now, so
I'm almost finished it. It's fantastic. It's the best book you've written so far. It's very.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's Don't Look Now meets what's your comparison?
True Detective meets with the gothic setting of Don't Look Now, with some Lovecraft thrown in as well. So, yeah.
Nice.
It's a very cool horror-y mix. Yeah. I like it.
But speaking of next year, what are we all looking forward to next year, writing wise? And I'm going to start with Fiona.
Well, I've just handed a book in that I feel really excited about. Nice. And as you were just saying, that's why I asked you, because it doesn't happen with every book, does it? Some books just
that excited feeling about it.
Well, I just think some books, you know that they're better than others, and you can't really control that in a way. Every book that you write is different, and kind of every process is different as well. And I loved writing this book so much. The characters spoke to me, like you were saying, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. I don't think it will be out until early January 2027 either, but it's going on submission in the States in January. So nice. I haven't had a deal in America for a little while, and I don't know whether it will be for them or not. I really hope it is. I would love to get another publishing deal in the States, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I feel really excited about that.
That's awesome. It's so true, because like everyone always says, I want every book to be better than the book I wrote before, but the reality is it's not at all. Like you've got like a deadline cutting you short. It's one thing to write a book. I mean, another thing about I wrote The Midnight King, I had no deadline, so I had unlimited time to make sure it worked properly. Whereas every book since then, I've always had a deadline, so I've always
it helps
felt
if
like
you don't leave it until 7 weeks before the deadline.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Yeah.
It helps if you don't have to have an idiot's process to bail you out as well.
Ed, please help me.
But also, sometimes you just have a better idea, or when you have the idea or the premise that it's absolutely. A good idea.
Yes.
Like it's a good idea, and you can get excited about it.
Yes, as opposed to being like, what is this book about? I'm halfway through the book and I still don't really know what the point of the story is. Where you're right. I think if I know if I've got a really good hook before I even start it, that goes a long way. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think a lot about that, and think I'm trying, as I'm becoming more experienced, I suppose, is to think about the title and a hook before I even start writing. I think you might do that as well, Callie. Would you say? Or
ish. I thought of, for notes on an obsession, I thought of the twist first.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
And then I thought, yeah, that's good. And I started from there. But I was listening to, was it you guys? I was listening to a podcast where
Probably.
it was
Steve
Pagnar
Yeah.
and
no, it wasn't us.
Steve Kavanagh and somebody
Steve
else.
Kavanagh.
It was about high concept and about people who start. Steve Kavanagh definitely starts with the log line for the front,
Yeah.
and that's where he starts. And I thought, well, I can see why that's a good idea. And so that's made me think with the book I write next, I'm going to try and work out what the log line is first before I start.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. What are your highlights? Well, not highlights. What are you looking forward to writing wise next year?
Like Fiona, I haven't had a deal in the States. Not a proper deal since 2016. I kind of gave HarperCollins the rights to sell them over there, but it's not like a deal sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so my agent comes back from maternity leave in January, and she's going to try and sell Notes on an Obsession. And I'm really hoping that it's so funny that both Tariq and Fiona and me both feel like we've got a special feeling about these books. And
maybe we're just deluded. We might just be Christmas cheer. I've had like half a pint of Baileys. So.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be total delusion. But I'm hoping, because the book is kind of like dark academia meets thriller. It's set in Oxford University in 1995 in the psychology department, and it has a past thread that's in 1989. And I've never written a book that's historical, even though that's when I went to university. 95. Apparently it's historical now. So I was really excited about that, and it's the first time I've written solely from a male point of view. 24-year-old psychology PhD student Ned Marlowe, and I have loved writing it. And I was feeling quite burnt out before I wrote this book, and this book has energized me again, and I genuinely loved writing it. And I'm hoping that the combination of Oxford academia, a bit of boarding school posh people will appeal to America, because that's what they
secret
think
history
Britain is
vibes.
like, you know.
See, when you guys were writing these books, did you have one eye on, I want to get it in America, I'm going to try and write something which will appeal to them, or did you not even think about that?
No, I've tried to do that before. I tried to do that with The Escape, which is half set in Bristol and half set in Ireland. And I thought, Americans will love the Irish bit because they all think they're Irish. No offense to any Americans. But that did nothing. That just got nowhere. But the idea behind Notes on an Obsession, well, the theme came to me was like I was in my 20s when I was living in London, and I wanted to write a book on the theme, which I can't tell you because it's part of the twist. But I wasn't knowledgeable enough, and there was no internet. Well, there was internet, but only at work, so I couldn't research everything I needed to research. And so this is like, it sounds like a cliche, but this is the book of my heart. This is the book that I've always wanted to write. And if it bombs, and if America doesn't want it, honestly, I will be gutted. But I have a high concept idea just waiting for my next one. So
nice.
I'll write that next year. But I've got a massive book hangover because I'm still in the book that I wrote this year, that I edited this year. And I really need to clear my brain to allow new thoughts to come in for this premise that I've got to actually become a real thing. Because I've still got the ghosts of the characters that I've been living with all year. So any advice on how to get rid of them, to move on, to allow any new characters in? Great.
They come and visit you on Christmas Eve. the ghosts of characters past. I didn't write mine with an eye on America in that way, but I did make a conscious decision to write a standalone rather than a series, because I just thought I haven't sold the series to America. I've come close a couple of times. Really close. So I thought I'll have a go at writing a standalone, and it's quite voicey. It's probably my first real attempt at doing a sustained first person, I would say. And funnily enough, like part of Callie's, it's set in the 80s, which I have a lot of experience of growing up as a teen then. So I just, I can't, it's in my head a lot as well. So I will have to just kind of put it to one side. But yeah, I mean, it not in a kind of cynical way, but I did think, right, I'm going to write a standalone and see if I can get some foreign territories, see if I can sell it in the States and see what happens. But, and also, not unlike Kelly, I will be probably pretty gutted if it doesn't sell, just because I love it and I'm proud of it. And I think that's the thing. Like when you put your heart and soul into something, and I've worked really hard on this book, and I want other people to love it, but we all know that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. So and I think so it will be kind of a nerve-wracking time, I think, for both Callie and I in January, because we'll both be going on submission. We'll be messaging each other going, have you heard anything? We'll see.
What about you, Ed? What are you looking forward to next year?
I'm looking forward to not having to think about my old bloody books again and actually write new stuff, which is actually a really exciting thing. So I've got these like ideas backed up in my head because so many months last year ended up going to the old one. So it's just more books in the series, but actually I find that as I'm getting more deep into series and writing, I'm trying different things. Like the last one was like a Columbo thing, and I really liked that. So like, as in you see the killer right at the start, you know who it is. Whereas most police procedurals, they sort of do that, and it was like a gamble, because a lot of people like the reviews are, I like to guess who it is and did it and stuff. But you actually see the guy right at the start, but then making him go through horrible things like The Fall or Fargo and stuff like that, where it's like putting obstacles in the way of the villain, and maybe not so much humanize them as in you want to like them, but just making sure people get to sort of see inside their heads a bit more. And that sort of I really enjoyed doing that that sort of book. So that's kind of stuff I want to explore a bit more with the next few books I'm going to write.
I love that idea of showing the crime, and then it's like you watch Poker
Why
Face,
done it?
Exactly how they got away with it. And it's tricky because
you're the psychic.
Exactly.
Columbo.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's I think it's hard to do well because you're the reader's with you already. Like, they're already ahead of you, so you're watching. They're reading someone catching up to them, and that can be quite dull sometimes. But if it's done well, it's watching them work it out is part of the fun, isn't it? Is how
and almost getting caught and all this kind of stuff. And they're because it's a serial killer book, so bumping off someone you want to live and all this kind of stuff. So that sort of stuff I really like. Just trying different things as well, because like when I was looking back at the old ones, they're so basic in a way compared to what I write now. It's like a simplistic. They're just very like straight. Whereas the stuff I write now is a bit more, not so much red herrings, but just the explorations of things. And I want to get in more into that kind of thing, but like looking at the stuff.
I was just going to say, it strikes me, you sort of talking about that, and Callie talking about her sort of dark academia, and myself trying, is that the way to keep yourself interested as a writer is just to keep trying new things and see, because you have to keep yourself interested in what you're doing. You don't want to write the same stuff over and over again. You want to get better at what you're doing, or try something new, I think.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, that brings me to the end of the writing bit of the podcast.
Finally,
before we
we all really came here tonight, Marco.
No, not quite the game yet. We're about to do the game soon, but before we do that, very quickly with everyone, just wanted your reading or viewing or both highlights. What have you enjoyed reading or watching this year? And I'm going to start with Ed.
Oh, you fucker! Actually, the highlight for reading for me is when Men in Love by Irvine Welsh came out in August. I thought, why don't I just read? Because it's like it was a sequel to Trainspotting, but there's already a sequel to Trainspotting.
Yeah, there's loads, right? You've got like sequels and
he's
stuff.
written, and they're all out of order. So I thought, right, I'll reread them all in order, and I finished that about 3 weeks ago. So going through from Skag Boys, which is the new prequel, to Trainspotting, Men in Love, Porno, Glue, Blade Artist, A Decent Ride, etc., and just absolutely loving them, and actually realising that Trainspotting, ironically, is the worst of them, and he's actually developed so much as a writer. Trainspotting, it's like, in my opinion, it's just like a load of sort of vignettes, short stories, sort of stapled together, and when you look at the film they made of it, it's like they made something incredible, but the book isn't that. They've stitched together elements of it and made a really cohesive story from what wasn't very cohesive. It had the same characters and stuff, but there's no through line. But if you read like Skag Boys, which is the prequel, which came out I think 2012, and that's got like so much depth to it, and there's so much more horrible stuff happens because it happens over many chapters, and you realize, I suppose, in that Sick Boy is about 100 times worse than Begbie ever was. Just some of the stuff he does in that book, but Men in Love as well was like just absolutely incredible. So many funny things and so many horrible things in it as well. So that's my reading highlight.
I'll come back to you for movie.
Actually, as also as well, I think Fiona mentioned in her quick reads, that was a real highlight for me. I just got it through the post one day and just sat and read it in one go, and it was like, it's one of those real delights of a novella. You just pick it up and read it, and you don't want to put it down. You want to read more as well. You're a bit frustrated it finished, but it's a real sort of bookend to your series as well. I think it was really good.
Excellent. What about you, Fiona?
So my reading highlights, I would say, is there's two. The Death of Us by Abigail Dean is just sensational. It deserved to have sold millions of copies. It is about the aftermath of a brutal home invasion on a couple, and it covers their relationship over the 20 years after it happened, right up until he's apprehended in his trial. And it sounds brutal and violent, but it isn't. It's a love story, and it is a forensic examination of the impact that a serious crime can have on you, and a real kind of look at victims under the microscope. I just thought it's so beautifully written. It's absolutely brilliant, and I really loved it. It's not out yet, but I've just finished Sarah Hillary's new book. It's called The Drowning Place. It's the beginning of a new series for her. I think she's moved publisher. And again, I could not put it down. It's a really smart idea. The writing is beautiful. The setting is really kind of compelling. It's just brilliant, and that's one of the best things about being a writer, getting this kind of early peek at books. And it makes me really, like, it sounds really cheesy, but like really proud to be part of a female cohort who are doing amazing things with their writing and deserve kind of huge success. And it makes me feel really positive about the future of crime writing as well. So those are kind of my reading highlights. And then for television, I've just finished. I'm a terrible one with TV. I get bored so easily. I start a series and then I'm like, get to about episode 3 and I can't be bothered to watch any more of it. A lot to keep me interested. But I was completely sucked into The Beast in Me. I don't know if any of you guys have watched that. Matthew Rhys and Claire Danes, and she basically a suspected killer moves in next door to her, and it's just fantastic.
Brilliant. What about you, Callie?
So my favourite read of the year is not crime. It's called The Broken Country. Was it The Broken County?
It's Broken Country.
Sorry. Brain blip. By Claire Leslie Hall, which is about... Interesting, it's sort of historic as well. It's set in the 60s, and it's about a woman who has this amazing first love, this man Gabriel, and then it doesn't work out and she ends up getting married to somebody else, and then something tragic happens in their family. And I made an effort this year to listen to more books that focus on emotion rather than plot and twists and stuff. And it just pulls you this way and that. Because Gabriel comes back into her life, and it's her sense of duty, but also her sense of grief about something that's happened, and her loyalty to her husband, but this feeling of longing for the past and this love. I thought it was really beautifully done. I listened to it as an audiobook. And, my dog got longer dog walks because I wanted to keep listening. But on the crime twisty kind of point of view, Claire McIntosh, it's not what you think. Her new book for HarperCollins, which is coming out in 2026, I read an early proof of that. And I always sort of pat myself on the back because I see twists coming in TV shows and in books. And Claire got me. And not in a sort of out there, sort of, plucked from the air type twist. And I won't say where it is in the book either. But she completely got me. She bamboozled me. And actually the book is very timely. I can't say more than that because that would probably be a spoiler, but it's a very timely book, and I think it's gonna be a big success. I think it's up there with like the first three thrillers that Claire wrote. I Let You Go and I See You. It's back to where she started her career, I think, and
Nice.
I think that's going to be really, really big.
Excellent. And you watching? Have you watched anything good this year?
Watch it. I literally just had to scroll through my phone, the Guardian's list of top 50 TV shows of 2025, because I have a terrible, terrible memory. One year, I decided to buy a notebook and write down all the things that I watched that I enjoyed exactly for this purpose. I think I made it to February, and then I stopped bothering. So I've got to mention the final series of Severance. I absolutely
that was great.
I've not watched it yet. I need to watch
We've
it.
all forgotten about it already because it was.
I know.
months.
That's so true. I completely forgot what I even watched that this year.
I just loved it, and I do love. I love sci-fi, and I love dystopian, and I love speculative, and Pluribus. I've started watching.
Yeah, it's meant to be amazing.
On Apple. And so I need to catch up with that. I loved Slow Horses again. Every time that comes on, I love that. I loved Black Rabbit that Fiona already mentioned. Yeah. Film-wise, I can't think. I haven't been to the cinema that much. Last thing I saw was the remake of The Running Man with my 14-year-old son. And it was all right. I thought the pacing was a little bit uneven. And there wasn't as much nakedness as I remembered from the original. Disappointing. But I gave it a solid 7 out of 10, and my 14-year-old gave it a 8.5 out of 10. So
nice.
There you go. Yeah. Worked well. Ed, I'm coming to you for watching. Then Tarek, I'm going to come to you. So
okay.
I was just thinking through the telly shows, and Callie's just named them all. So I hadn't watched any of Slow Horses. And then I got really deep into it and just watched it all. And it's been an Apple TV year because I remember watching the first season of Severance and just sitting with playing games on my Switch as it was on, and I thought it was all right. And then in preparation for the second series, I watched it all again from the start and just beasted it, and it was like, it's so good. And I wasn't that keen on the second series, but then I think you need to soak it in, and then I'm going to rewatch the whole thing from the start when the third one eventually comes out.
Season 1 still had, because I rewatched season 1 again before 2, and season 1 felt almost like a perfect. It was hard to fault it. It was just so brilliant, and season 2 felt like it took there's some faltering, but again, maybe I'll watch it again. I'll feel stronger.
It goes a bit weird, weird. Yeah, it goes even weirder, and you just think, I don't quite have the confidence in where they're going with this, that they know where they're going, because everyone's been sort of bitten by things like Lost, which ended up abominably, and so it's like you've got to trust with that stuff that they know where they're going. And similarly with Pluribus, I'm really enjoying that, but because it's done by Vince Gilligan, you kind of hope that he's going to land the plane on that one. So and it's just like, really, it just goes where you don't expect it. It's really smart that considering there's no stars in it really apart from Rhea Seehorn, it's just incredible what's happening in it.
Looking forward to watching that. Tarek, what have you been reading?
Best books I've read this year didn't come out this year, but it was as an older one, which I came to late, was Tender as the Flesh, which is a really disturbing.
I've read that.
I thought it was brilliant, like a sci-fi dystopian world where all meat has become, all animals have become inedible. It's an Argentinian woman. I can't remember her name.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll look up right now. There is the flesh. It's by Augustina Bazterica. I'm probably saying her name wrong. But it's about a world where meats become inedible. So animals is the virus. So I don't know if they ever explain exactly what's happened, but there's a kind of reason why animals can't be eaten anymore, and so they start farming humans, and so humans start becoming the kind of meat product type thing. And it obviously feels like a kind of a commentary on the meat industry and kind of abattoirs and that kind of thing. But it's there's so many scenes I wish I could barely.
You'd love a horrible.
I do love a horrible. It's a kind of cannibalism, like the how they grow these humans and what the humans go and how they treat, and I know and I love. I'm a big meat eater. I love meat, and I get it. It felt at some point it felt like a little bit like, this is what you do to animals. How bad is it? Imagine doing it to humans.
Yeah.
But a little bit preachy, a little bit pointed, a little bit preachy. But I thought on the whole, it was still. I thought it was incredibly well written and made me feel very queasy at points.
And
yeah, that's probably my highlight. Watching wise from this year, I would say my highlights would be Andor season 2. That was amazing.
Myself. That was brilliant.
Adolescence was amazing. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And what else have I watched? The Rehearsal. It's an older one.
Oh, that's meant to be amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. We just started watching season 2. It's about a guy who helps people rehearse difficult conversations that they have to have. So, like, if they want to break up with their wife or ask someone on a date.
I'm never sure. Is it a real thing? Or is it a comedy? Is it scripted?
It's scripted. It is, but it's incredibly. Like it's a very black comedy. Like but it's filmed like a documentary. So, and he plays himself. And season 2, there's a whole subplot which has just started where he's trying to find out why one of his episodes from his previous shows has been taken off Paramount Plus. So he goes to Paramount Plus, and it's all very meta. Like it's like a show within a show. And so many times, and in season 1, he's trying to rehearse. He's trying to teach this person why they can't, whether or not they've got to having a kid's a good idea. So they have a whole fake kid that they live with and they learn. And then he's like, but am I a good dad? And so he gets an actor playing himself. He's watching himself, and it's this weird. It's like Inception levels. It's utterly hard to describe. It is like unlike anything I've ever seen. Go and watch The Rehearsal. It is amazing. It's incredible.
Excellent. Very quickly, I have just I'm only going to say this because I've just finished it. It's what I can think of. King's Sorrow by Joe Hill, which is a huge book, but really good. Sort of jump. It's got it starts in 1989 and then it jumps forward sort of around 5 years every so often. And each section, although there's an overarching story, each section is almost like a Stephen King short story. Almost, it's a little short story that all adds up to a bigger story. So I enjoyed it. The one thing I would say is that the ending, it was a good ending, but it wasn't the ending that I was expecting. And not in I think for me it could have landed in a slightly different way that would have been a bit better. But I did enjoy it. TV, Andor, loved Andor, and a Midnight Mass. I only watched that this year, and I really enjoyed that.
Love Midnight Mass.
Yeah, that was great. But we have come to that time. Finally, it's time for the game. So, to explain to viewers and listeners, if you're still watching, the game.
They'll all have switched off by now.
Exactly. The game is. I've given 3 Christmas themed books, a couple of which are famous and one perhaps less so, and asked for either the opening or closing line of that book, and I'm going to read out your entries after I've read a summary of the book, and you all need to guess who you need to guess the real line, because I also read the real line. Maybe bonus points if you can guess who wrote the other lines as well. But we will start with and there will be a prize. The prize will be surprisingly a page 1 notebook. There you go. Available now.
I don't win.
Yeah, exactly. Tarek doesn't want to So the first book is How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss, and I asked for the last line of this book. So the summary, as on Amazon, is: with a heart 2 sizes too small, the Grinch is the meanest creature you'll ever meet. He hates Christmas and the whole festive season, but when he hatches a dastardly plot to steal Christmas, he's in for a big surprise. So here are the entries.
So is it first or last line you were?
This is for the last line.
It's for the last
now,
line.
some of these lines are more than one. Like, so, there's a couple of sentences or whatever, but it's all the same.
Disqualified, yeah.
Well, sometimes that might be the real one. I might have included more than one.
Oh,
who knows,
interesting.
but, okay, so here's the first entry. So I'll read them all out and then we'll take our votes. So don't say anything after that. So the Grinch scratched his bottom just enough to shift the lump of sweet corn away from his piles and said, "Oh my, what a mess," as his heart grew 3 sizes and his sulk became a laugh. Dr. Seuss, I don't know if you know this, but Dr. Seuss decided not to rhyme at the very end there.
Somebody never read a Dr. Seuss.
Number 2. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Number 3. The Grinch gazed around Whoville and all its good cheer, down 3 pints of Sambuca and 1/2 of beer. On snorting his very first line of cocaine, he decided next year to toast Christmas again. Number 4. The Grinch had a heart as large as the town and a smile on his face instead of a frown.
Oh.
And number 5. Because that's where our story takes place after all. So, number 1, the sweet corn and piles.
That was Ed. That's got to be Ed.
That is Ed.
Okay. Number 2. Any votes for number 2? The carved
I'm
roast
going to
beast.
vote Callie on that one.
The Sambuca. I think that's Fiona.
No. This is before the Sambuca.
Oh.
This is,
Yeah.
and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. That's
I
number
think
2.
that's Tarek.
Okay. Number 3, the Sambuca one.
Fiona.
No.
Number 4, the Grinch had a heart as large as the town and a smile on his face instead of a frown.
I think that's
This is
a
the
real one.
real.
I think that's the real one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 for the real one there. And because that's where our story takes place after all, any votes for that one? And
I vote for that one.
Interesting.
Does that mean
okay.
you wrote the penultimate one then?
So you were all right. Ed wrote the sweet corn entry. The real one was, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. So no one. Someone thought Tarek wrote that, but no one got that.
Thanks for the compliment, Carl. I'll take that.
The Grinch, the Sambuca was Fiona as guest, and the Grinch had a heart as large as the town, which is what most people guessed. That was Callie.
Well done, Callie. God.
They've got a future there as a Dr. Seuss
That's a
Which
wonderful
means-
line, yeah.
Which means the last one, Tarek, you got 1 vote there from Callie. Tarek, if you can keep a note of the votes there, because I can't note the scores
Okay,
down.
you got to tell them all over again then. I wasn't letting done.
Just do it roughly.
Fiona got-
Callie's in the lead.
Callie got 3 votes. Yeah.
yeah.
3 to
Callie
me,
got
1
3.
to you. There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
One for Fiona, one for me.
Okay. Next book was Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. And this is the best-selling novel behind the iconic movie Christmas with the Cranks.
Iconic's doing a lot of heavy lifting there, Mark.
Well,
No, it is iconic. I'm sorry, I agree with Marco. I watch it every year, and I had no idea it was based on a novel by John Grisham.
no,
You knew John
that was
Grisham.
I
not.
think
was
that
his
was
novel.
what
Everything.
This was him trying to cash in on the Christmas book.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I've never watched it or read a John Grisham, so this was a bit of a stretch for me.
so
Tim
this
Allen's
is
12th
this is
best
the
movie.
Amazon. This is the Amazon summary. Imagine a year without Christmas. No crowded shops, no corny office parties, no fruitcakes, and no unwanted presents. Unwanted presidents. Freudian slip. That's just what Luther and Nora Crank have in mind when they decide that just this once they'll skip the holiday altogether. Theirs will be the only house on the street without decorations, a Christmas Eve bash, or even a tree, because come December 25th, they're setting sail on a Caribbean cruise. But as this weary couple is about to discover, skipping Christmas brings enormous consequences and isn't half as easy as they'd imagined. So here are the entries. Number 1. Fuck Christmas, Luther Crank shouted angrily. Fuck it right up the arse.
Sounds like
Number-
Ed again.
Number 2. The gate was packed with weary travellers, most of them standing and huddled along the walls because the meagre allotment of plastic chairs had long since been taken. Number 3. The only thing Luther Crank hated more than Christmas was his neighbours, and he hated them a lot. Number 4. Luther Crank was crank by name and cranky by nature, especially at the start of this particular festive season. And number 5. Luther Crank hated Christmas for different reasons than the average man. His family's Protestant ancestry was embodied in a given name hailing back to the founder of the church, Martin Luther, meaning he endured years of teasing by those assholes at middle school. All of that made him determined that this year was the one he got away from Boston's snowbound misery and escaped to the sun. So,
if someone wrote that last one, that is a bold entry. That's almost crazy enough to be the real one.
Number 1, fuck Christmas. Any votes for that, or any guesses as to who it might be?
I'm guessing Fiona.
Okay, a guess for Fiona there. Then the gate was packed with weary travellers, standing huddled along the walls. Any votes for that one?
I'm guessing that's the real one.
I think that's
that is the
Fiona.
real one because they don't. Oh no, maybe it is. I'm trying to think about the film.
Okay, number 3. Only thing Luther Crank hated more than his neighbours was than Christmas was his neighbours. Sorry, and he hated them a lot. Any votes
Guess
for that?
Callie.
Okay. Luther Crank was crank by name and cranky by nature, especially at the start of this particular festive season. Votes for that one? No. And then the last one, the Protestant ancestry.
The last one,
Yeah.
it's just so nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one.
So that's 2 for the last one. Fiona, which one did you think it was?
Oh, I think it might be the one when they're in the airline hall. That one.
Okay. And Ed thought the same. So Fiona and Ed were correct. That is the last. That is the real line. And 2 of you guessed Ed's one at the end.
Excellent.
Who wrote the one about? I'm offended that you thought I wrote the fuck it up the arse one, Ed.
That was Tarek's. That was
me.
Tarek's line.
I read a couple of Grisham openers and I thought I could channel it. It's very similar to how the firm opens up, actually.
Okay, here is the one that we were all here for, and I can actually do this as well. There you go.
Oh my! Is that the cover?
That is the cover
Incredible.
of this one, Naughty and Nice by Holly Morgan. So this is what it says on Amazon. I didn't write this. I thought that dressing up as Santa to help raise money for a good cause would be easy, a wholesome way to spread some festive joy. I didn't count on Becca Bradley bringing her niece to visit the big man in red. Becca's the sort of woman that dreams are made of, literally, in my case. The sort of dreams that would put me straight on the naughty list. And apparently, that feisty redhead with the body that should be illegal thinks I'm hot. I shouldn't do anything with that information. She deserves better. I should walk away, but I can't. Bad Santa, very bad. So, as I say, I didn't write that, I promise.
Protesting a bit much there, Marco. Free publicity for your ebook there.
Yeah, exactly.
You've chosen this one at random, people.
Right, here is the first entry. It's going to take a lot to get through these. With a sly wink, Becca held up the 10-inch long replica of a sled being pulled by his reindeers, the thing already buzzing with a ferocity as long as the cable attaching it to the wall, and said, "Bend over, big boy, and spread those cheeks. Let's get Santa back up that chimney."
That's Ed. I reckon that's Ed or Tarek, I reckon.
Absolutely, Ed.
Let's get Santa back.
Oh dear. Sorry, this was for the last line. I should have said that. This is the
God.
closing of Naughty and Nice. Okay. Entry 2. Come on, Santa. She shifted on the bed, relishing the silky caress of her dressing gown as it slid from her body. It's time for you to empty your sack.
Jesus.
Number 3. Merry Christmas, beautiful. His eyes darken, and he claims my lips forcefully as he starts to make good on his promise that's definitely not just for Christmas.
That's the real one. That's got to be the real one.
Present tense. Interesting.
Number 4. Because, as Becca's about to discover, Santa has a bulging sack.
That's pure filth.
And number 5.
Santa's got a tumour growing.
Number 5. Keep the beard on, Becca said, but tell the elf to go home. Okay. Right. Okay. So, number 1, the sled and the chimney story.
Ed.
That's my favourite of them. But
Number 2, the silky caress of the dressing gown and emptying sacks. No, any votes for
Callie,
that one?
maybe? Callie?
Yeah, I guess Carly.
Merry Christmas, beautiful. Who thinks that's the real one?
Oh, that's the real one.
That's the real. Yeah.
that's a present tense.
Never-
Yeah, that was a real one. I'm voting for that one.
It's because, as Becca's about to discover, Santa has a bulging sack. Who are we guessing for that one? If we don't think it's the real one. No guesses? Okay.
No,
And then the elf to go home. Who think?
that made me
Fiona.
laugh. So I'm going with that one.
Okay. So the real one was Merry Christmas, beautiful.
Yes.
And the rest of you are filthy. And the elf to go home was Tarek's one.
Oh,
You get a point there, Tarek. So Tarek, who is our winner? Have you won the notebook? Please say yes.
No, so I mean, my scoring might be a struggle. To
It's
plot
fine. It
scoring
doesn't matter if
because-
it's right
but
or not.
According to my calculations, the winner is Ed.
Oh no.
Ed, you. No one guessed for Ed. Oh no,
I know,
the
but
second
Ed
one.
scored. Ed scored
Yeah.
4 points. He got the right one, the naughty and nice, and he got 3
I'm
points.
pretty
for the
sure
Christmas
you've
round.
miscalculated
No, because
that.
everyone voted for Ed's Christmas one on the
Yeah.
on the Cranks one.
Okay.
So you
Two
got,
people
you got,
did.
I
me
got
and you.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Ed.
Thank you very much.
You're the Christmas champion.
Why
Did you
are
like
you
the,
congratulating him on leaving me with an image of a shit-encrusted bit of sweet corn and a vibrator up the arm? Right.
I
Thanks.
know.
Ed,
I'm very obsessed with that, actually. Now
did
think
you
about
write
it.
the?
He
Let's
wrote
get
the
Santa back
chimney
at the
one.
chimney.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should have went for that alone. That's some of the finest writing I've ever heard. That's incredible.
I think I should pivot to writing just low grade Phil.
Yeah.
That's-
there you
Honestly,
go.
there's money to be made there.
Yeah,
I know.
definitely. Well, that brings us sadly to the end of our Christmas special. But thank you for watching. If you've got to the end of this, well done. And thanks to all our guests, Fiona, Ed, and Callie, for coming on and telling us about the writing and showing us some of the writing as well there at the end. Their books are available now. And we'll put links in the podcast description. But otherwise, we hope you have a great Christmas, a happy New Year, and Page One will be back in January. And we'll speak to you then.
Thank you for having us. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Hi.
Merry Christmas, everyone.